back to the Cossy Ask the channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is the latest Ask the news and transfer news as well. There is so much to discuss when it comes to the Viktor Gyokerez story to Arsenal. L'Equipe in France are reporting that Arsenal are in advanced negotiations with Sporting CP to agree a deal for Viktor Gyokerez, and an announcement should be coming out very, very soon. And this story is being collaborated by Sacha Tavaleri. We are also talking new information on the release clause of the player, as it's now being said that there is a possibility for him to leave for 60 million euros plus add-ons, because this is written in the player's contract that has been activated in July. We are also talking clarification from Fabrizio Romano, who says at the moment there is nothing like an agreement, but Arsenal are pushing and working on the Viktor Gyokerez story. So what is going on with Viktor Gyokerez? Is a deal agreed? Is a deal advanced? Let's jump into it together on this one. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Let me know. We are now in July. Do you still prefer Šeško? Do you still prefer Gyokerez? Talk to me in the comment box below. I've seen my comment section. I've seen the views on different strikers, on both strikers. I can see that more people are starting to accept Šeško a little bit more on the channel rather than it was in May and April and June as well. So let's get into it. This is a story that was broken yesterday by Sacha Tavaleri and L'Equipe, and they were saying that Arsenal are now in advanced talks with Sporting CP in order to find a deal for Viktor Gyokerez. The Gunners feel like they are touching the final line on this case. A 5-year deal has already been agreed with the player. That was according to Sacha Tavaleri. As you can see, it's been aggregated by Polymarket. And L'Equipe in France also said the same story, and they were saying that Arsenal's new director Andre Bata hopes to finalize the signing of Viktor Gyokerez, 27, from Sporting CP very, very soon. The North London club are currently advancing on that deal, and the striker himself wants to join Arsenal this summer, as reported by L'Equipe, and also collaborated and aggregated by Sacha Tavaleri. Now, when you look at those two stories, they're absolutely spot on with what Fabrizio has been telling us, right? That Arsenal continue in talks with Benjamin Šeško and Viktor Gyokerez. The talks are daily. That's what Fabrizio said a couple of days ago. They're daily talks between the two clubs, Arsenal, Sporting, Arsenal and the RB Leipzig, but also there are also daily talks between Arsenal and the representatives of both players. So it wouldn't come as a surprise. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise you if we got a here we go. It wouldn't surprise you if Arsenal made a bid. It wouldn't surprise you if Arsenal agreed a deal, because this is a deal that has been talked about since April. Actually, as early as March, we were talking Gyokerez, Šeško, right? So it wouldn't surprise me. Talks are still ongoing between these parties, and maybe the deal is not done yet, but it should be getting to the end very, very soon. So I really believe L'Equipe, because L'Equipe are a big outlet in France, and there's so many stories that L'Equipe have done before Fabrizio, and there's so many stories that L'Equipe have done before David Ornstein. Take, for example, the Paul Pogba story to Monaco. That is a story that was done by L'Equipe, and then Fabrizio jumped onto it. And a couple of other stories, especially when it comes to news in France. Now, you might ask a question. L'Equipe are an outlet that are based in France, and therefore they would understand French news or news related to French players much better as compared to stories that are in Portugal or stories in England. Now, this is the reason why L'Equipe have this story and why they actually got this exclusive. So they're saying that during discussions for Viktor Gyokerez, Andre Bata took advantage of this situation to discuss another player. That player is of AS Monaco midfielder Marges Akliche, also recently represented by Sentikaya, the agent that represents Viktor Gyokerez. However, Monaco are demanding north of 70 million euros to part ways with the player. Now, this is how L'Equipe got to understand about the Viktor Gyokerez situation, right? So basically, they were not trying to eavesdrop on conversations between Arsenal and Sporting for Viktor Gyokerez, right? But what they understood was Arsenal were interested in an AS Monaco story, in an AS Monaco player, midfielder, and they tried to follow that story, right? They tried to understand the depth of that story. Now, both Viktor Gyokerez and this boy, the midfielder, Magnus Akliche, are both represented by Sentikaya. Sentikaya is the agent of Viktor Gyokerez. I've told you this before on the channel. So this basically, this is how Le Equipe get their hands onto this story. This is how they managed to to get this exclusive, and this is how they managed to break this story. They were trying to understand what is the situation between Arsenal and Magnus Akliche, and then they found out that talks are ongoing between Arsenal and Gyokerez, and then Arsenal and the agent of Gyokerez for this player. So I understand where this is coming from, right? We understand where this is coming from. Le Equipe might have got a heads up, right? And then they broke the story, okay? But that is not all. Still yesterday, we got another story about the release clause of Viktor Gyokerez. And this came in from Abola. Abola is a big outlet that has been quoted by Fabrizio Romano on a couple of occasions. And there is no reason as to why Abola would lie about something like this. And this is what they're saying. They're saying that Sporting's 60 million or 51.4 million Gyokerez release clause is now active right from today. That was on the 1st of July. And they're saying that the official clause is 100 million euros, but from 1st July, if any club makes an offer at least 60 million euros and Sporting refuses, they'll have to compensate the player's agent with 10% of the value of the offer. Okay, guys. I think I know where we are. I think I know where all this fuss is coming from. I think I know now. I understand the release clause. So the official release clause of the player is 100 million euros. That has not changed, right? But there was a gentleman's agreement in the summer that the player can leave for 60 million euros, right? But not technically leave for 60 million euros, right? What happened, and this has been very this has put very clearly by Abola. What happened here is that Viktor Gyokerez and his camp got an agreement with Sporting that if a club comes in with 60 million euros, right, and the player wants to join that club, you can let the player go. And now Sporting is saying, no, we can't do that. We want bigger money. We want more money. But there is a clause in that contract that if a club tables any offer that is 60 million euros and above, and you reject it and you turn it down, right, you are going to give us 10% of that offer. So if Arsenal made a bid today of 60 million euros and Sporting said no, they would have to pay 6 million euros to the agents of Viktor Gyokerez. If Arsenal made an 80 million euro bid and it was rejected, then Sporting would have to pay 8 million euros to the agent of the player. So technically, it wasn't agreed that for 60 million euros, it's enough, you can let the player go. I think there was miscommunication from Viktor Gyokerez's agent, Sentikaya, to Arsenal. It is not that Arsenal can sign the player or should sign the player for 60 million euros. It is just that Sporting was saying it's okay if someone came in and started negotiations at 60 million euros, and we are not going to be demanding that a club pays 100 million euros. Okay? So now, again, this changes everything. This changes everything. If Arsenal can make an initial bid of 50 million euros, it will be turned down, right? And then Arsenal could make another bid of 60 million euros. If it is turned down, what Arsenal can do is easy. If Sporting turn down that offer, they have to pay 6 million euros to the agents of Viktor Gyokerez. And if Arsenal can make another bid, maybe 66 million euros, if they turn it down, they have to pay 6.6 million more to the agents of the player. I don't think Sporting are actually going to do that, right? And as far as we understand, Sporting are starting to agree and starting to accept that a fee north of 80 million euros is not going to happen, right? So I think they will settle for around 70 to 75 million euros. I think a deal will be done between 65 to 75 million euros, okay? Just the president has said he's not leaving for 60 million euros plus add-ons, but that could change. That all could change with this new release clause. Still yesterday, we got a story from Sky Sports, and they were saying that talks with clubs interested in Benjamin Sesko, including Arsenal, have not progressed and now are at a standstill. It is understood that while a move from RB Leipzig is not off, talks have not progressed so far. That is Sky Sports being aggregated by Eduardo Hagan and the transfer sector. This adds more value and this makes more sense regarding the Viktor Gyokerez story. If Arsenal are feeling like there is a stumbling block to the Benjamin Sesko deal, then they want to move on. Remember, it wasn't so many days ago when we were talking about the build, reporting that Arsenal could actually move on to Hugo Ekitike. It wasn't long ago when we were hearing that Watkins is a solid option. By the way, he's now a solid option for Manchester United as well. So it means that when you hear these alternative options and you're hearing more and more about them by the day and by the week, it tells you that there is a level of frustration, there is a level of impatience that is growing within Arsenal. Okay, so if Benjamin Sesko is becoming difficult, I understand why Arsenal are progressing on the Viktor Gyokerez end. Okay, and I think this is true. I think Arsenal are progressing on the Viktor Gyokerez end because I trust L'Equipe. They're a very, very good outlet. Okay. But then Fabrizio said this: there has not been any changes over the deal for Viktor Gyokerez tonight, and Sporting's asking price needs to be clarified before a deal can be closed. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. Record Portugal, also another very good outlet from Portugal, said the same thing yesterday, and they said that the Viktor Gyokerez transfer has not made any progress in the last few hours, contrary to what's being reported by several media outlets that are foreign. There have been no active negotiations for the Swedish international. Quite very, very interesting, right? And this is what Fabrizio Romano has had to say about this situation of Viktor Gyokerez right now.
For Viktor Gyokerez, we are having many rumors on a deal getting closer between Arsenal and Sporting as of tonight. I'm told that tonight there are still no changes. Nothing has changed between Arsenal and Sporting for Gyokerez. There is no advanced conversation or advanced negotiation to get a deal done between clubs. We know that Gyokerez and Arsenal are in discussions, have been in discussions for weeks, because Gyokerez is one of the main targets for Arsenal this summer, but at the moment still nothing has advanced between clubs. We know there is still this war ongoing between the agents of Gyokerez and Sporting to understand the final price of the player, and that's the point, guys. The price has to be clarified before Arsenal go to the table and try to close the deal with Sporting. So let's be patient. As of today, still nothing has changed, but Gyokerez remains a target for Arsenal, a topic for Arsenal. Then we will see how this conversation will go.
Right there, what Fabrizio is saying is, it is very clear on the player side. He wants to join Arsenal, 100%. He wants to be an Arsenal player. But we do not have the clarity from Sporting. And by the way, Fabrizio is right, because we've never really got the clarity from Sporting about what they actually really want. Yes, they've always been saying, listen, we want 60 million euros plus 10 million euros to be upgraded, right? He's not going to live for 60 million euros. But they've never said that we want this amount of money. And that has never been communicated to the club. That has never been communicated to the agents of the player. So for me, Fabrizio says nothing is advanced at the moment. I think the first step Sentikaya has to make as the agent of the player, go to Sporting and understand what are the right conditions for this deal. What does Sporting really want? What is it that's going to push them into letting this guy go, right? If Sporting are like 70 million euros plus add-ons, then that should be clarified with Arsenal. Arsenal should be able to make a good decision, and we move on. And that is the thing that that is the thing that Leipzig did, right? The reason as to why talks are not progressing with RB Leipzig is because Leipzig told Arsenal, we want 80 million euros plus add-ons. And Arsenal were like, what? That's too much money. So I think what Sporting are trying to do here, they're fearful of asking for a big price and chasing away clubs, but they're also fearful of selling a wonderful striker, a wonderful talent at very small money. What's going to happen? My eyes and your eyes glued to the screen. We shall find out sooner or later. But at the moment, we are getting news from Lee Equip that a deal is advanced, and Fabrizio is saying nothing is advanced yet.